Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Beer 30. Yo! Cerveza, por favor. Prost, der Trixa. Here's to you, boy. That's good stuff. Anyway, I'll tell you a couple of stories. Well, actually, one combined. One combined? I'd see that tells you it works. Anyway. This goes back into the, let's see, I guess I was 14 years old, and I didn't have my own car yet. I had a motor scooter, and but I wanted a car bad. You know, some of my friends had cars, older friends had cars. I didn't have one. But we had a family car. We had a 1954 Ford, four-door, automatic, yeah, such as it was. Automatics weren't all that good then. It was kind of new. And but anyway, I used to drive it a lot. I mean, I kind of looked at it as my own personal car, even though it was our family car. I mean, it was the only car we had. My daddy had at that time, he had like a 49 Dodge pickup. So that certainly wasn't a family car. But anyway, I got carried away with myself and using the family car, and I did a couple of things that I'm surprised I didn't get killed for, okay? The first one was, back in the late 50s, I think it was, they started doing what they called Dago in cars. You know, they would lower them in the front like this. You know, there was lowering them in the back, and then there was lowering them in the front. You know what I mean? And that was called Goin It. And the way you did it was the old springs in the front were coil springs, round springs. And the way you would do it is you would take it to a welder, and they would heat those springs, and it would just collapse, okay? And you couldn't undo it. You know, once you did it, it was done. And it also, now I'll get to that in a minute. So a friend of mine had, quote, Dagoed his car, lowered it in front. He had a 53 Ford, and he did it. And I thought that was just too cool, man. I thought, wow, I got to do that. So anyway, I took the family car to a body shop. A friend of mine knew how to operate a welding machine, and we commenced to heat the springs and watch the front end of that car just go like this. It totally ruined the front end or the engineering of the vehicle, but, you know, I wasn't thinking that far ahead, okay? I guarantee you. All I knew that I was in. I mean, I had a Dagoed car, you know what I mean? Anyway, yeah, and it rode like a go-kart, because there were no springs in the front. It just, it was crap, total crap. Anyway, I know I say that a lot. That's the way I am. I didn't get killed for it. In fact, nobody ever said a word. My parents never said a word, but that wasn't all. I wasn't through. Once I got it Dagoed, I wasn't through with it yet. I mean, I hadn't totally destroyed it yet. One day, a friend of mine had he was a, I don't know what you'd call it. He was a car fanatic or whatever. And he had a Mercury. And what he had done was he had painted the dash of his Mercury white. Okay? Painted the dash. Because back then you had metal dash. You didn't have the padded dash and all that stuff. It was metal. You could actually paint it. And so I got, bing. You know, I can do that. So anyway, I bought a can of spray paint. Or maybe two. I think I just got one from Western Auto. And back then, spray paint, boy, you had to shake the crap out of it. I mean, because it was real paint. You put it on, it didn't come off. Well, so I didn't want to do it in front of the house. I was afraid I'd get in trouble. I wanted to go somewhere where it was, quote, safe. So I went under, about a mile and a half from our house was an overpass. And I pulled up under there. And I rolled the windows up, and I put some masking tape on some things that I didn't want to get paint on. But I thought that here was my plan. See, the speedometer was, like a half moon shape, you know what I mean? And it was like, like a half moon. That was the speedometer. It was directly in front of the driver. Well, I thought my plan there was that I would go ahead and spray it white, and then I would take a rag with some paint remover on it and then wipe the paint off the speedometer, and that would be better than taping it. Wrong. Totally wrong. Wrong. So what happened was, yeah, I sprayed the dash. The dash looked good, looked real good. But when I got the paint remover and tried to get it off the speedometer little thing was plastic. It wasn't glass. It was plastic. And this stuff I was using just melted it. It made it look like crap. You couldn't even tell how fast you were going now. Oh, God. But anyway, I was still proud of it. And I took the blinker light things. They had little arrows that pointed, you know, when you turned the blinker on, it actually had a little arrow that pointed that way and the other way, and there was one on each side for left and right. Well, I unscrewed those little things, and I took the arrows out and put them back so that you just had green lights instead of arrows. I thought that was the neatest thing in the world. I was driving around in my family car that I had completely destroyed. I'm telling you. It rode, my mother, I'm sure, was very proud to drive to church on Sunday in that car. God, dude. I mean, no kidding. I did that. And they didn't kill me. They did not kill me. And the crazy thing about it is, nobody ever said a word. I never heard a word about it. Nobody said, Rusty, you idiot, pop, pop, pop. Nothing, never. And so my brother, my daddy got with my brother. My brother was a Superman mechanic, could do anything. And he was in Victoria, Texas. He had moved away from home, was working in Victoria, Texas somewhere. And so my dad got my brother to take that car that I had totally destroyed to Victoria and redo it. And he did. He took it to Victoria, and oh yeah, he changed all kinds of things. He completely replaced the dash with one out of a wrecked car and stuff. And yeah, when he brought it back, it was like a brand new 1954 Ford. I mean, it was perfect. And but I still didn't get killed, and I never heard a word about it. But I didn't get to I didn't get to drive it anymore. I didn't. That was it. It was either the scooter or walk. And then later on, of course, I got a job, and I ended up buying me a 1960 Impala. Oh, yeah, 348 4-speed, yep. It was like, I want to say, $975, but it was a good one. I mean, I bought it in 1962, I think. Oh, and it was fast. I mean, but the only problem with it, it was completely wore out. I mean, it was junk. But I was proud of that junk. I mean, have you I guess you can remember your first car, or some of you. But yeah, that was crazy, man. Yeah, so for those of you that destroyed your parents' car when you were growing up, thumbs up to you. And for those that finally got your own car to destroy on your own, which I did eventually, that was wonderful. And then I sold it, that 1960 Impala. Yeah, it was a 348 4-speed, man, and it was cool, man. It was plenty of room. It was roomy as hell. It was built like an army tank, but it had fins and all that stuff. And yeah, that was a pretty cool automobile. Yep, it really was. And then I moved up. I borrowed enough, or my dad loaned me enough money, or didn't loan me. He actually paid for it, and then I forgot to pay him back. I took it to a mechanic in Corn City, Texas. And the old mechanic's name was Schultz. And so what he said, you know, this old engine pretty weak. He said, but what we can do, we can get you a 409 short block, and those 348 heads will fit on it, and the intake, everything will fit, but you'll just have a 409 engine, or larger. I thought, really? You mean faster? Yo. So we did it. And it was super fast. I mean, yeah, it wasn't very good in a quarter mile though. No, it wouldn't outrun that Mustang I got for sure. But it was faster than most cars in a quarter mile, because we geared it down to 411s. We didn't go with 456. We went with 411s, and yeah, it was pretty good in a quarter mile. I mean, it beat most cars. But long range, That thing, even with the 411s, it still run 120 miles an hour. I mean, I'm not kidding you. That thing was long-lunged. But anyway, that was the old car days. And for those of you that remodeled your parents' car, I mean, can you remember the old hubcaps? We had spinners. Remember that? We didn't have, the aluminum wheels, and we didn't have all that. We had, you lowered them in the back and you put fender skirts on, huh? You got to remember fender skirts. Come on. I mean, I mean, get out of here. Oh, and Smitty's exhaust pipes, so loud you couldn't hear. Yeah, that's right. And then lake plugs where you could actually, you could close them off. We actually used tank necks off of gasoline tanks and cut a hole in the exhaust pipe, welded those on there, and you could put the gas tank cap back on there and cap them. And then when you really wanted to make noise, you could uncap them and, you know what I mean, make noise. And now when I hear somebody running up and down my street here making a lot of noise with their car, I'm going, yeah, damn kids. You know what I mean? It's called payback. Anyway, this is long enough. But anyway, for all you guys out there that had cars back in the 50s and 60s, yeah, you got to remember the Smitty's, lake plugs, dual exhaust, all that stuff, 2 4-barrel carburetors, 3 deuces, 3 2-barrel carburetors, and then fuel injected. Oh my God, that was totally out of sight. Yeah, and you had to work on them all the time because they didn't last like they do now. Anyway, thumbs up, carpe diem, adios, bye-bye. Enjoy your life one day at a time. Drink plenty of water, stretch, walk, keep your health. Use the Amazon link if you think about it. But anyway, guys, the good old days, were they really? Yeah, I'm surprised that my parents didn't beat me to death. And I'm still thinking about that. If my son would have done that to our car, I'd probably killed him. But no, they never said a word, not one, or that I can remember. I mean, maybe it was such a traumatic experience that I have totally I've washed it from my memory. Maybe my old man beat me to death. I don't know. But did I deserve it? My God, I was totally unconscious. But I guess they said, well, leave him alone. He might get worse. Anyway, thumbs up, adios, bye bye.